All right, folks, my name's James Conrad, and it's my pleasure to be here with you as we prepare for the Configuring Windows 8 exam, also known as the 70-687. Now, if you take a look at the exam objectives on Microsoft's website for this, it may not look like much, but I gotta tell you, it's the most dense list of exam objectives for any single operating system that I've ever taught in the past almost 11 years at CBT Nuggets. In fact, I have a total of 40 videos, including this one, that are included in this set. I haven't had that many, I don't think, even for one of the server topics. So there's a lot here. But one of the first things we'll take a look at as we address our topics here is just how to get around in Windows 8. This is a total paradigm shift compared to previous versions of Windows. For example, you'll probably already know there's no traditional start menu like we're used to seeing it in the past. So that's something to get used to, and there's a lot of other things to get used to. We'll take a look also at hardware readiness. This is always an important topic when you take a look at installing an operating system on existing hardware, because you don't know if your hardware can take it. So we have to make sure that we're well prepared there. There's also Windows to Go. I really like this. This is where I can take kind of my corporate desktop, stick it on a thumb drive, and then take it home and continue to work on my corporate desktop and its entire environment. A very good way to go there for consistency's sake. We also take a look at how to upgrade Windows 8, which sounds pretty straightforward, but you can't always do an upgrade. So you might need to do a clean install and then transfer your settings. There's a couple of different ways of being able to do that quickly and efficiently. We take a look at user profiles, which is where you get all the stuff that you want to configure, your wallpaper, your various settings and configuration. We take a look at some particularly interesting items there, as well as folder redirection, which is a great way to make sure that we can centralize all of our user data in a manageable place for administrators. This gives us the ability to centralize the backup and virus scans and give the user a consistent experience. We also take a look at the drivers that you need to use to control your devices. That's going to be very important for compatibility reasons, of course. Applications is even probably more compatible or more important in terms of the compatibility, because if your applications are not compatible with Windows 8, not really a whole lot you can do with it. Now, there's some tricks I'll show you there to kind of force them into being compatible. Hopefully, we can use a crowbar and make them fit into Windows 8. We also take a look at AppLocker, though. You don't always want your users to run just any application. You might need to tightly control that. AppLocker is the way to go to make sure that they can only run what you want them to run. And then Internet Explorer, of course, has a myriad of settings. Very important, especially for security reasons, to know how to control those settings. And most of that, if not all of that really, can be controlled through what we call a group policy object. We take a look also at a brand new feature in Windows 8 called Hyper-V, or Client Hyper-V. And this is something that we haven't had in previous desktop operating systems unless we went to third-party products. Now we can run guest operating systems inside of a Windows 8 host. Very exciting, especially for those of us that have to manage multiple desktops or manage multiple operating systems. We take a look at Network Location Awareness, or NLA. This is a great way to configure your environment so that you have a specific network set of configuration given where you are, whether you're in a public environment, private environment, domain environment. We take a look at name resolution, which is a very important thing to do to make sure that you can properly locate the resources that you need. And then we continue on with IP version 4, which we've had for a long time, but you're going to continue to need to know how to administer IP version 4. And then we have the emerging IP version 6, which can be substantially more complicated, but we'll show you the necessary features that you'll need to know to understand its advantages as well as the basic management of it. We take a look at wireless networks, which are ubiquitous nowadays and just about everywhere in every corporation, as well as every public environment. We take a look at network security, which may be particularly important in wireless networks, and we take a look at how to manage that. We take a look at remote administration, because a lot of times, hey, you don't actually sit at the computers that you administer. You might sit at a Windows 8 computer and remotely administer a server somewhere, or remotely connect to or help a user on a different desktop physically far away from where you actually are. We take a look at how to share resources, including file shares and printers, as well as NTFS characteristics. As we move on, we have EFS, or the encrypting file system. We've had that for a long time, and it's a great way to secure individual files or folders to make sure that it doesn't get access to prying eyes. There's also BitLocker, which not only secures individual files or folders, but entire hard drives. A new feature starting with Windows Vista. Very, very good feature. There's also local security settings. There's a myriad of settings that you need to be aware of there. Very important in controlling the system's security. And then there's the authentication and authorization process. There's a lot of different ways of authenticating. You can use biometrics, for example, smart cards, or just traditional passwords. We take a look at VPNs, which is a critical way for corporate clients to be able to make connections to their home networks, but to be able to do so securely. And then we take a look at a number of additional mobile options. In particular, we'll look at things such as offline files, sync options, Wi-Fi Direct, some really cool new features of Windows 8. And then we take a look, as we wrap up here, at local storage. This is pretty much the same as what we've had in previous versions of Windows to begin with. However, it moves into some new features that we have now called storage spaces. This is actually very exciting in Windows 8. It's kind of an almost server-like way to manage your storage. We take a look at monitoring. This is critical when it comes to understanding how your systems are actually operating and identifying things such as bottlenecks. We look at backup and file recovery, and this has really changed now under Windows 8. So if you're used to previous operating systems, you're going to have a whole new way of doing things with backup and file recovery. I think you're actually going to like it for the most part. And there's also system recovery, and this again has got a couple of new features that are going to make your systems really run very nice and clean. Well, I'm really looking forward to this series with you. I hope you enjoy watching it as much as I've enjoyed making it. And with that, let's go ahead and get started with the first video.